Hello, and welcome to a video that touches on concepts such as non-resistance, consciousness, present moment awareness, and emotional release. These are all concepts that are interlinked and all related to spiritual awakening. Two teachers who have something valuable to teach us when it comes to this are David R. Hawkins and Eckhart Tolle, in a way where their teachings can fruitfully complement each other. This is, of course, because they, as so many others, are fundamentally talking about the same invisible reality that more and more of us are becoming more and more aware of, to the point where it, in some instances, starts to become the new normal. To merge Eckhart Tolle's and David R. Hawkins's ideas on non-resistance and emotional release, we must consider how both perspectives align. Both emphasize presence and the dissolution of the ego through awareness. Tolle focuses more on surrendering to the present moment, while Hawkins, among other things, proposes a method of emotional release, where feelings are fully accepted and experienced in order to dissipate their influence. What unites these approaches is that both involve a surrender to whatever is happening in the present moment, with the non-resistance to whatever is already there that goes along with this surrender. Both speak about not resisting our emotions, but allowing the energy to pass through us as a way to liberation. When we do, we don't allow the negative emotions to get stuck in our bodies, causing physical tension, making us anxious and easily triggered. Together, these two authors present a framework that invites a continuous conscious surrender to the present moment, allowing for a release of emotional burdens and a path to genuine peace. It's important to recognize that we are speaking about a very real, tangible state of inner non-resistance that can be accessed at every moment, but which has to be experienced to be grasped. This is why you can consume countless books on the subject, but prior to the actual experience of it, the knowledge is just theoretical. It's a state where you rest in the present moment, neither trying to resist what is, nor trying to force it to be something else. Instead, you are still and allow your alignment with the flow of life to guide you. Tolle suggests that the very core of suffering lies in resistance. According to him, resistance manifests through attachment to thoughts, which act as a barrier between the individual and the experience of peace. He posits that all suffering, in essence, is due to identification with thoughts and emotions. For Tolle, the practice of non-resistance begins with stepping away from the mind's compulsions and observing thoughts without engaging, thus allowing space for consciousness to emerge. This process leads to an acceptance of the present, unencumbered by reactions tied to past pain or future worries. Hawkins's approach resonates with Tolle's ideas, but dives into a structured method for emotional processing, which he calls letting go. We have 2 videos on the subject, and there will be links at the end screen. This technique encourages one to recognize and acknowledge feelings as they arise, allowing them to exist without interference, neither suppressing nor indulging them. The essence of Hawkins's method is to observe the emotional energy, letting it unfold and run its course naturally without clinging to it or forcing it to change. Through this, the emotional charge dissipates, gradually diminishing the influence of such feelings on behavior. By ceasing to resist the emotions and instead accepting them fully, allowing them to be felt, one clears inner blockages, enhancing a sense of freedom and connection to one's true self. Can you see how there is a middle way here that presents itself over and over again in different ways, where you neither resist nor try to force anything? Think of how this middle way can potentially open up to you as you go through your day-to-day experiences, and how you can navigate life more smoothly by aligning yourself with it. Hawkins further highlights that resisting emotions creates prolonged suffering, as it allows the ego to feed on negativity. Tolle takes this a bit further by introducing the concept of the pain body. Eckhart Tolle describes it as an energetic field with its own life that consists of an accumulation of unresolved emotional pain that each person carries within. It feeds off of negative emotions and lies dormant unless it becomes activated by thoughts, experiences, or interactions, often resulting in heightened emotional reactions. When active, it feeds on further negativity, perpetuating cycles of suffering. Tolle suggests that by observing the pain body without identifying with it, one can begin to dissolve its influence, breaking free from patterns of reactivity and accessing a deeper, peaceful awareness. There will be a whole video on the subject shortly. Hawkins compares emotional resistance to wearing armor, which, rather than protecting, actually prevents the free flow of energy and keeps one shackled to feelings of pain, anger, or fear. In his view, emotions are merely energetic expressions that arise and pass naturally when left unopposed. By continuously practicing this release, we no longer identify with transient emotions and thoughts. Instead, we become the silent observer, a stance that both he and Tolle believe unlocks an enduring inner peace. This silent observer is, in essence, the unchanging infinite consciousness that lies behind our seemingly solid reality. As Hawkins notes, this gradual release process, where one no longer clings to any particular feeling, results in heightened self-awareness and spiritual empowerment. This is a process that will happen more and more on its own, as you more and more get out of your identification with the physical body and mind, and with the thoughts and emotions that rise and dissipate, and you instead recognize yourself as part of the aforementioned infinite, eternal, unchanging consciousness upon which all of this movement and activity is taking place. Thus, techniques for releasing emotional blockages are more of helpful tools while you're in this process of leaning more and more naturally into the present moment. In Tolle's framework, resistance also plays a role in shaping the ego, which he defines as the false sense of self, which is constructed through habitual thoughts and emotional patterns. When one feels insulted, hurt, or threatened, the ego reacts defensively, viewing resistance as strength. Yet, Tolle argues that true strength lies in non-resistance, responding to challenges without egoic defensiveness, enabling one to stay present and unaffected. By observing the ego's reactions without engaging, a person can dissolve the ego's hold, leading to an experience of the unmanifested or the deep stillness within. This internal stillness again reflects one's true nature as infinite consciousness, unperturbed by the outside world or inner turmoil. As you understand by now, both Hawkins and Tolle view non-resistance and emotional release as far more than mental techniques. They see them as gateways to deep inner transformation. For Hawkins, releasing emotions clears our energy field of accumulated negative patterns, such as fear, anger, or resentment. These are stored energies that cloud our experience and inhibit our natural joy and creativity. When these emotions are triggered and we don't notice what is going on, but instead go unconscious, we react habitually to them and go into habitual ways of thinking, speaking, and acting, often with the result that we add even more fuel to the triggered emotions. By training ourselves to recognize these cycles and stay present and grounded in whatever is happening, we can begin to allow the emotions to instead rise fully without holding on to them. We then begin to clear these blocks, creating space for positive and creative energies to emerge. This is, for most people, not a quick process, but a gradual unfolding where layers of emotional clutter are peeled back, allowing for a state of inner clarity and openness. However, Tolle's teachings show that it has the potential to happen in an instant, but usually not without such intense emotional pain that the ego has no other choice but to surrender its defenses. For Tolle, as we let go of past regrets, future anxieties, and stories tied to our pain, we break free from the grip of the ego, which thrives on our attachment to past and future suffering. In the now, we experience life directly and without judgment. This allows for a natural detachment from habitual thoughts and emotions, diminishing their power. Without identification with these pain-filled patterns, we become grounded in a deep sense of peace that transcends whatever is happening around us. Together, Tolle and Hawkins invite us to consider non-resistance and emotional release as journeys into our authentic selves. This transformative path doesn't shield us from emotions, but allows us to engage with them fully, ultimately realizing that peace is not found by escaping the world's turbulence, but by resting in an undisturbed inner state. While Tolle's and Hawkins' ideas stem from slightly different premises, the outcome they point toward is similar. Non-resistance involves surrendering both thoughts and emotional reactions to situations, leading a state of inner freedom. This state enables one to function with clarity and compassion, no longer bound by the ego or reactive emotions. By not resisting emotions and instead witnessing them, we transcend ego-based behavior, bringing us closer to a harmonious existence with life itself. In summary, Tolle's and Hawkins' approaches offer a complementary path to inner peace. Tolle's method emphasizes de-identification from thoughts and the cultivation of presence in the now, while Hawkins provides a practical guide to releasing emotional energies through full acknowledgement. Together, their teachings illuminate the path to a life free of suffering, rooted in acceptance, and enriched by an enduring peace that transcends the ebbs and flows of emotions and ego. This shift that both authors are ultimately pointing to is akin to being in the calm eye of the storm. The storm is the chaos in our lives, our resistance towards what is going on in the present moment, and our impulses to try and force the present moment to be something other than what it is. And the eye of the storm is the infinite, eternal, unchanging consciousness, from which we clearly can see the impermanence and illusory nature of what is projected on the screen of this calm, blissful awareness, whether what is projected comes in the form of events, actions, thoughts, words, or emotions. This consciousness has always been there, so ultimately, this is about surrendering to what was with us all along. Finally, the hope is that, as you listen to this video, you could discern a common thread where the stillness, peace, alignment, and effortlessness of infinite consciousness are making themselves known in different ways, and that you can use this in your own journey towards surrender. You've now reached the end of the video. Remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for your time.